Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. So this will be our second seminar for FIN420, and I believe last seminar kita dah discuss the first two topics, some introduction of financial management, and then kita dah go through juga for the second topic, the statements. Okay, the financial statement lah, ada balance sheet, ada income statements, and also we've learned how to prepare the cash flow. Okay, so that was based on our first seminar. So for this second seminar, it is actually a continuation from what we have done in the previous seminar. Okay, whereby now we are going to use the financial statement, the balance sheet dengan income statement as our material ataupun raw material for our analysis. So for today, we are going to go through what we call as the financial ratio. Okay, financial ratios and analysis. And based on my sharing dekat dalam future tu, I intend to complete topic 3 ni obviously semua, and if possible, if we have time, some parts of topic number 4. So tengok sekejap lagi macam ni, kalau tak sempat topic number 4, then we're going to go through everything lah untuk topic 3 sahaja, at least. Right, so as I said, topic 3 is about financial ratios and analysis. So ada 3 subsection dalam topik ni. Right, first of all, we're going to go through the types of financial ratios. So you're going to see later on, we have 5 categories. So we have 5 categories. Okay, and each category will have ataupun a few types of ratios lah for each categories, right? And then majority of the topics sebenarnya 3.1 lah, okay, and 3.3 is just some additional information related dengan financial ratios and also analysis, right? So first things first, again, what is financial ratios? So financial ratios analysis involve analyzing current performance. Okay, cuma untuk current performance ni usually it will be done by the internal staff. Okay, internal staff ataupun internal parties lah, internal staff. Okay, the managers, for example, because when we do financial ratio analysis, what we need is the raw data, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, raw data ni datang dalam bentuk balance sheet and income statement. So based on current performance, okay, this information is not available to public. Okay, this is only usually available to the internal staff sahaja. So therefore, only internal staff will use the current performance punya financial ratios lah. Okay, but majority of people is going to use this one, past performances. Okay, based on actual statements. So this is where we use the annual reports. The annual reports. So each, kalau kat Malaysia lah, each public listed companies will have their annual reports published. And these documents available for all the publics, usually via their website. Okay, every company akan ada dia punya website and they will publish this information lah on their website. Usually dalam section investor relations. Investor relations. Okay, so dalam section ni, in their website, selalunya dia akan publish lah annual reports from the current one. Selalunya dia akan post at least 5 years or 6 years punya annual reports lah. Mungkin tak adalah dia letak sampai 20 tahun ni. The ones yang dia akan publish, only the recent ones. Okay, so average about 5, 6 or even 7 years of annual reports. Kalau yang lain tu, you have to ask them lah. Kalau you nak reports tu, you have to ask them. And We also might use financial ratios analysis based on expected performance, which is what we call as pro forma or what if statements. Okay, yang untuk yang ni kita akan simpan dulu for the topic number 1, 2, 3, topic number 4. So this kita akan discuss this in topic 4. Okay, when we talk about pro forma, forecasting, budgeting. So ni semua kita akan discuss in topic number 4. Right. So these financial ratios will show the relationship among the financial statements that we used. Okay, and who are the users? Okay, investors. Okay, investors really interested to know how the company perform. Okay, based on financial ratios. Walaupun financial ratios is not the only thing that investor wants to know. Tapi for fundamentalists, memang dia suka lah to know financial ratios. Okay, this is from internal, the managers. Okay, manager from internal. So investor ni selalunya external lah. External, kalau manager ni adalah the internal parties. And any other interested parties that want to know how the companies perform. So any other interested ni can be anybody. It can be student macam you all pun kena tahu lah nanti. Right, students. To analyze and interpret the firm's financial position and performance. Okay, the terms yang dia guna ni, financial position and performance ni bukan sahaja dia letak. This is actually referring to financial position. This is the balance sheet. And the performance is actually income statement. Okay, so combining both documents, both statements, will assist us in conducting the financial ratio analysis, right? Memang kita perlukan lah. And sebelum ni, if we talk about final exam, or sebelum ni even test contohnya, kita akan provide the balance sheet and income statement dalam soalan, right? So what you need to do is based on the questions punya information, you have to analyze, you have to calculate all the relevant financial ratios, and then you have to interpret. Okay, sebab bila kita buat analysis, kita bukan hanya calculate. That's why dia ada 2 part kat sini. First is to analyze. Ni, analyze. So when we talk about analysis ni, analyze ni, we have to calculate lah. And we need to interpret juga. Okay, we need to understand what the numbers punya definition. So kita kena faham what is the numbers referring to and how to compare it. Okay, sebab bila kita cerita financial ratios, another important element is you need to compare. Okay, you need to compare. And when we talk about compare, it can be compare between the years or you can compare against other companies. Okay, kita akan tengok tu kejap lagi lah in terms of the types of analysis. Kan ada apa tadi 3.2 tadi kan ada types of analysis. Tu is actually based on comparison. So through this analysis, one is able to tell whether the company's financial performance is in good condition ataupun tidak. Right? It's very important for financial managers to uncover trends, strengths and weaknesses. And this will enable managers to take appropriate action. So this is yang dua ni is basically from internal lah. Okay, internal kalau dia tahu, dia boleh buat penambahbaikan, try to improve, try to take corrective actions, for example, so that dia boleh ensure that in the future, dia punya performance tu will be better, right? So let's look at the types. So bear with me, we have, like I said tadi ada 5 kategori 5 different categories, and each categories will have at least 3, okay, some even more. So the 5 categories termasuklah liquidity ratios, leverage, activity, profitability, and also market or equity ratios. So ada 5 different categories of financial ratios. And hopefully by now, when we are doing the financial ratios, you dah familiar yourself. Okay, I ulang balik ni. The balance sheets punya information and also the income statement. So this one kita dah go through last seminar. Okay, yang balance sheet ni yang ada T account, yang ada assets, liability and equity kan. So yang this one ada revenues and expenses. And we want to know whether dia profit or loss. Okay, so this is income statement. Yang ni balance sheet. This one. Okay, and each section tu assets, for example, ada dia punya subcategories kan. Assets ada current assets with non-current assets. Liability pun sama, current liabilities, non-current liabilities. And then we have the types of equities. Revenues pun sama, dia ada the sales ataupun revenue, lepas tu dia ada gross income-nya, and then dia ada earning before interest and taxes and so on. Lepas tu all the expenses yang ada, alright. And at the end, we want to see whether the company is generating profit ataupun loss. Okay, tapi like I said, this is all given in the question. Okay, soalan akan bagi, and for you guys, memang tak ada soalan exam lah. This topic will not be in the exam. However, this topic is important because this would be your group assignment. So group assignment you akan based on this topic alone. Remember masa kita punya first seminar, I dah tunjuk you the assessment kan. And one of the big chunk of the assessment is based on the group assignment. Yeah, you have to prepare a written report and also the presentation. So this topic will be it. Okay, you have to do your project ataupun group project tu based on this topic. Alright, so this topic tak masuk exam tapi it is part of your assignment. Alright, so you need to understand again. Alright, so the 5 categories kita dah tengok. So let's go one by one. So the first one we have liquidity. Okay, so when we see the terms liquidity, we want to know how easily the company has liquid assets. Okay, liquid assets in order for them to pay. Okay, the keyword to pay current and maturing liabilities. So dia ada cukup tak liquid assets? Kalau remember, liquid assets here referring to current asset. Okay, dia ada current assets. And whether these current assets have enough, okay, in order to pay, okay, the current and maturing liabilities. So this one is technically the current liabilities. Okay, so dalam liquidity ratios memang akan gunakan number 1, current assets, and number 2, current liabilities sahaja. Okay, so as a basic rule of thumb, higher ratios are better. Okay, ni satu lagi information. Higher ratios for liquidity, the higher the better. Okay, which represent them the higher ability to make payments. Alright. And cuma ada dua notes kat sini lah. If too excessive, it shows that maybe it's not really good condition lah. Dia bunyi ni kalau idea je, dia akan auto masuk ke tak? Okay. So if it's too excessive, like I said, selalunya dia akan relates back the terms inefficient. Why inefficient? Because when we say about current assets selalunya relates dengan low income ataupun low returns asset, ataupun some of the current assets have no return whatsoever. Okay, so kalau kita ada terlalu banyak current assets, it can indicate inefficiency sebab kita tak boleh generate higher returns. Okay, remember current asset, low income ataupun low return types of assets. Okay, cash. Contohnya salah satunya cash. Or even cash in banks. Cash in banks selalunya kita letak dalam savings ataupun current account lah. Okay, kita simpan dekat dalam cash vault ke, kita simpan dekat dalam savings account ke, ataupun dekat current account in the bank, it is low return. Okay, savings current account tak sampai 1% pun, 0 point something percent je selalunya. Okay, so it indicates that low returns. So if kita perlukan the cash. Okay, we need to have a better ataupun a good amount of current assets. Okay, like I said, reason dia kenapa nak ada current assets, in order for us to pay our current liabilities. Sebab kalau kita tak ada cash, susah pula nak bayar hutang kan. So we need to have some element of liquidity kat sini. But if it's too excessive, like I said, it is considered inefficient sebab bila kita ada terlalu banyak current assets pula, it indicates that we don't earn better returns. Sebab sepatutnya kita kena calculate lah, by calculating the liquidity ratios, we know berapa persen je yang kita kena simpan dalam bentuk current assets, and the rest of it we have to invest it somewhere else. Okay, itulah function jugalah financial ratios. We want to know whether it is sufficient for the company to have the liquidity, and we don't want it to be excessive, number two. Okay, so the liquidity ratio is try to find a balance between not to have enough liquidity and at the same time not to have too much liquidity, right? Right, so dalam liquidity ratios, kita ada 3 jenis. We have the current ratio, quick ratio, and also net working capital. Okay, the keyword I mentioned earlier, kita ada current assets, kita ada current liabilities. That's the only thing that we use for all three. Okay, ketiga-tiga ratios revolve around current assets and current liabilities. Okay, so the first one, current ratio. So current ratio measures the short-term solvency and indicates the extent which the claims or short-term creditors are covered by current assets. Okay, dia tulis kat sini, average current ratio is approximately 1.5. Selalunya kita guna the punya unit is in times. Okay, berapa kali. So that's why dalam ni jawapan dia answer in X. X ni referring to times. Berapa kali. Okay, so the formula for current ratio is current assets. Okay, ingat tadi one of the keywords I use is the current assets, and we're going to divide it with the current liabilities. Okay, with the current liabilities. Okay, so to jog your memory a bit, okay, and to assist you to understand how this ratio works, okay, bear with me. I have to go from the notes to some examples so that you can better understand. So ni example daripada past year. You still can see this one kan, the past year question. Okay, Disember 2018 adalah semester terakhir yang ada final exam. So we don't have example anymore. Kalau nak cari past year lah, we don't have any recent ones. So this is the only final year yang kita ada. Last, okay. December 2018. So this is the last one yang kita gunakan untuk final exam. So this is how it looks like. Alright, 3 jam exam. Ada 5 questions. Okay. And the first question always relates dengan financial ratio. So dulu memang soalan ratio ni akan ada setiap semester. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Dia akan bagi you the 2 important documents. Macam cakap tadi, dia akan bagi you balance sheet. Dalam ni dia letak the statement of financial position. Alright, and then dia bagi the income statement. Okay, the income statement dia bagilah the revenues, the sales, sampailah net income, net profit. Okay, so these 2 document je dia bagi. Alright, and then dia bagi additional information for comparison purposes. Dia bagilah industry average ratios. Okay, and bear in mind this is not the answer. This is industry average ataupun the industry punya ratios on average. And what we need to do is basically to calculate the relevant ratios and we compare our answers dengan the industry average. And you want to see which one perform better. Okay, so the question asks us to compute the indicated ratios. Okay, ratio dia ada ni lah. Ada 4, there are 8 ratios. So kita kena calculate all 8 ratios. And we need to evaluate. Okay, remember tadi dalam financial ratio there are 2 elements. Number 1 is the calculation part. Okay, the computation, the analysis. Number 2 is your evaluation. Okay, your evaluation. So 20 marks. Okay, daripada financial ratio saja 20 markah. Okay, dululah So nombor 2 ni kita tak tengok lagi. Right. If you recall last week ataupun last seminar, sorry, dalam balance sheet, okay, dia ada categories dia macam cakap tadi kan, kita ada assets, kita nampaklah asset kat sini, one side assets, and then we have liabilities and equities. Okay, dalam case ni dia guna perkataan total claims, it's basically the same thing. Right, and dua amount dia, amount yang sama banyak lah, the balance kan, between the two sides. But for this question, dia tak label. Okay, dia tak label which one's current assets, for example, mana yang current, mana yang long term liabilities, mana yang current, mana yang non-current assets contohnya. Okay, tapi the way they put it, okay, dia akan always follow the rules that the most liquid akan ada dekat atas, the least liquid akan ada dekat bawah. Right, so dia akan put it in that sequence but without the label. Okay, so last time as a student, you kena hafal lah, bukan hafal macam mana, you have to remember setiap satu ni belongs to which category. Okay, ni current asset ke fixed asset ataupun non-current asset, so which one? Ni pun sama, mana satu current liabilities, mana satu long term ataupun non-current liabilities. Okay, and mana satu equity. Alright, so to again assist you untuk recall, so this first four adalah current asset. Susah sikit nak tulis saya macam ni. So dia tak friendly pula lah pen ni. Tulis pula Anyway, so the first four ni, cash, account receivable, inventories, prefect expenses, all of these are current assets. Okay, current assets. Yang dekat bawah dua ni pula adalah fixed assets. Okay, fixed assets. And on the other side here, why tak boleh tulis ni? Let's try again. So basically inilah the four yang kat kanan ni juga, accounts payable, accruals, notes payable, and also other current liabilities are all current liabilities, the first four. Then we have one non-current liabilities ataupun long-term liabilities in the form of long-term debt. Okay, and then kita ada equity lah, common stocks and retaining as equity. Okay, so that's the categories lah. So we have current assets again, current assets, and then non-current asset ataupun fixed assets. Then we have these sides, current liabilities 4, then long-term liabilities ada 1, long-term debt. And then the final 2 items are the equities. Alright, so if you go back to the formula just now, okay, so untuk current ratio, formula dia adalah current assets dengan current liabilities. Okay, current assets dengan current liabilities. So let's say if I tak boleh tulis kat sini Let's say I put it side by side like this So let's say I calculate the first one is called Okay, apa tadi? Current baseline pula dah. Okay. Okay, try again. Okay, this is current ratio. Okay, current ratio. So the formula adalah current assets divided by current liabilities. Okay, so for the current assets, so you need calculator lah for this, obviously. So what you need to do for the current assets, you need to add all the information. Okay, I tak nak tulis semua, tapi you can add 25,000 plus 30,000 plus 50,000 and plus 12,000. Okay, you kena tambah empat ni. All these four ni you kena add, and here you get 117,000. Okay, for the current assets. So all four ni bila you sum all four, you get 117,000. Okay, and for current liabilities, you add the four on the right hand side here: account payable, accruals, notes payable, and other current liabilities. So 16 plus 4,000 plus 10,000 plus 14,000. So you have here 44,000. Okay, so you dapat dua ni. What you need to do is just divide lah. Formula dia divide kan. Current asset divided by current liability. So here you get about 2.66 times. Okay, 2.66 times. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, kalau tak tulis X, you can write in full jugalah. Okay, 2.66 times. So keep it two decimals for comparison. Kalau you tengok dekat dalam soalan pun dia bagi some of them in two decimals point kan. So you follow je question ni, kalau two decimal, you letaklah two decimal. Okay, so that's how we calculate for the first ratio, current ratio. And in the notes, like this one, every single ratios will have some explanation dekat bawah dia. Okay, ada dia punya explanation lah kat bawah ni. Apa maksud dia? Macam contohnya, whatever we get when we calculate the answer in times, the higher the ratio reflects the ability to pay short-term obligations on time. So tu dia punya definition of our current ratio. So if we go back to this, okay, 2.66 times. So how to know whether this is good or bad? Okay, so that's why untuk yang B ni pun disuruh evaluate kan, based on termasuklah liquidity. So liquidity, we know we have current ratio. So current ratio of the industry average is 2.5. Okay, 2.5. And for this company, ABM Mortuaries, okay, for ABM Mortuaries, the ratio untuk current is 2.66. So which indicates ABM Mortuaries current ratio is better as compared to the current ratio of the industry. So we can comment, okay, we can comment that ABM Mortuaries, okay, ABM Mortuaries current ratio is better than the industry average, and it shows that the company can pay its obligation on time, short-term obligations on time. Okay, that's how we answer lah. Tulis okay lah, katalah saya tulis dia punya jawapan. ABM Mortuaries Berhad has better current ratio. Ni kalau nak analyze current ratio has better current ratio as compared to the industry average. Which indicates the company ni ABM Mortuaries lah. The company has no problem to pay it short-term obligations on time. Okay, panjang juga lah. Kalau nak analisis ni baru satu ratio This is just the first one. So first, you boleh kata ABM motorist has better ratio. Okay, sebab dia punya ratio is higher, 2.66 versus 2.5. And secondly, what does it mean when they have higher ratio? So indicates that the company has no problem, ataupun sometimes tak boleh lah kata no problem. You can put jugalah as better pun, ataupun higher ability to pay short-term obligation. Tapi kalau 2.66 ni memang no problem lah. Sebab more than one usually indicates no problem. Sebab dia punya current assets melebihi current liability dia. Okay, so this is the first ratio. Okay, under liquidity. So this is liquidity punya kategori ratios. So kategori dia liquidity ratio. So yang pertama adalah current. So the second one is called quick ratio. QICK, quick ratio. So this is the second one. Okay, so formula dia, okay, for quick ratio, quite similar like this one, cuma for the current assets ni, okay, total current assets, you have to minus inventories and minus prepaid expenses. Kalau ada, if any, based on these two, if there's any one or both, you can minus. And you're going to divide it with current liabilities. Okay, so quite similar like the first one. Cuma the total current assets that you have, yang 117 ni, you have to remove inventories and prepaid expenses. So in this case, yes, untuk soalan ni, both ada inventories and prepaid expenses. Okay, so technically it will be 117,000. Sebab you dah calculate total current assets tadi 117. So you have to remove inventories of 50,000 and prepaid expenses dia 12,000. And you're going to divide it with current liabilities of 44,000. So 7 minus 50 minus 12 divided by 44. So now you're left with 1.25 times. Okay, still in times jawapan dia. And quick ratio number 2 kat bawah ni. Okay, the industry average is 1.20. But for this ABM motorist, the ratio is 1.25. Again, the ABM motorist is higher. Okay, so what you boleh explain again lah. ABM motorist has better quick ratio as compared to the industry average, which indicates that the company has better ability, contohnya you tukar ayat dia, better ability in paying its short-term obligations on time. Okay, cuma untuk quick ratio ada penambahan without relying on inventories and prepaid expenses. Sebab kita remove dua ni dalam kita punya current assets. So maksudnya kat sini tanpa memerlukan inventories dengan prepaid expenses, the company still has access in order to pay the short-term obligations. Okay, kenapa dia remove inventories and also prepaid expenses? These two are considered as let me write. These two dikonsiderkan sebagai least liquid assets. Okay, dari segi kategori dia adalah current assets. However, dalam banyak-banyak kategori of current assets, these two yang paling tak liquid, the least liquid assets. Susah kita nak dapat lah in a form of cash fast. Okay, yang ni kata ni least liquid. Right, so that's why in order to really test the companies, that's why nama lain daripada quick ratio is called acid test ratio. So ni nama lain dia. So we remove this to see how well the company can take the impact. Okay, kalau tanpa adanya inventory dengan prepaid expenses. So In this case, untuk soalan yang tadi, the company still has no problem lah in order to pay dia punya short term obligations. Okay, still ada 1.25. Okay, still above 1. Okay, still above 1. So it shows no issues for the company. Okay, so tak muat kat sini. The third one, tambah kat sini ya, is net working capital, NWC, net working capital. So untuk net working capital, formula dia adalah current assets minus current liabilities. Okay, current assets minus current liabilities. Current asset yang original ni lah. So it's supposed to be 117,000. Silap tulis. Okay, 117,000 minus with 44,000. And berapa ni? 117 minus 44, so it's 73,000. Okay, so this one, the answer is in ringgit. Okay, alright. Dalam case kita ringgit lah. Ringgit Malaysia, 73,000. So this 73,000 is actually representing the absolute amount of liquidity. So this is the amount of ringgit yang dia ada lah. Excess. Okay. Excess the above current liabilities. So maknanya company ni ada excess 73,000. Okay, in terms of current assets, bila dia dah liquidate untuk bayar all the current liabilities. Okay, so this indicates the amount of current assets financed by equity or long-term debt. Higher ringgit is desirable as it provides greater margin of safety. Okay, so the answer is in, dalam ni letak dollar sign, but here kita tahulah it will be in ringgit. Okay, in ringgit lah. Okay, so that's our first category, liquidity. So liquidity ada 3 ratio, I recap. Current ratio, quick ratio, and net working capital, and all using current assets dengan current liabilities sahaja. So we are referring to the balance sheets and only on these two information sahaja. Okay, the left hand side current assets, on the right hand side current liabilities. So far ada soalan nak tanya? You have anything to ask so far?
No, sir.
Alright. So let's move on to the second category. Ingat kita ada 5 kategori ni. Sekarang berapa? 23. Syafiq, nak tanya ke? Okay, tak ada soalan daripada teks pun tak ada. Okay, kalau tak ada soalan, let's move on lah. The second one is leverage. Okay, leverage ratio. Starting first liquidity. So the second one is leverage. So leverage ni technically relates dengan debt, dengan hutang. Okay, you want to know how the company relies on debt or not. Okay, kalau liquidity tadi kita nak the ratio the higher the better. Okay, tapi untuk leverage, okay, some of the ratios, the lower the ratio the better. Because bila ratio untuk leverage ni terlalu tinggi, it shows that the company ni terlalu dibebani dengan hutang. Right? So that's why for some of the leverage ratios, bukan semua some of the leverage ratios, the lower the better. Tapi when we talk about ability to service, is that obviously kita nak tengok dia punya keupayaan membayar tu, membayar hutang tu tinggi. Okay, so ada 2 elemen kat sini lah. The first one, kebergantungan kepada hutang, we want it to be as low as possible. And untuk service, ability to service, obviously we want the company to has a higher ability to service. Okay, so the higher degree of indebtedness will result in higher risk. Okay, sebab dia memerlukan commitment to pay to pay the fixed amount of payment obligations. Okay, sebab dia kena commit lah. Kalau dia ada pinjaman, kalau dia ada bond for example, they have to commit to pay the debt every single period. It can be monthly, it can be annually. Okay, so the ratios ada 3 juga. There are 3 more ratios. Okay, we have debt ratio, we have debt to equity ratios, and the third one is times interest earned. Okay, so the debt ratio ni is also known as debt to assets ratio. Ni nama lain dia lah, as known as debt to asset ratio in the first one. The second one is known as debt to equity ratio. Okay, and the third one is times interest earned. So the first two, the lower, the better. Lower better lah. Okay, tapi times interest earned, higher is better. Okay, so before we look at the formula, these two ratios, okay, debt ratio, which is also known as debt to asset ratio, and also debt to equity ratio, the terms ataupun the name of the ratio is actually give you some ideas what will be the formula. Okay, so like for example, like debt ratio, so the other debt, number one is debt, and the second is assets. Okay, so debt to asset. So technically, the formula from the name itself is actually debt, total debt, bahagi assets. Okay, debt bagi asset lah. So what is debt? Debt ni adalah total liabilities. Debt equals total liabilities. Total liabilities. Kan tadi kita ada current liabilities and then we have long term kan. So total debt is actually total liabilities that the company have. Right? So sama jugalah untuk yang the second one, when the ratio is known as debt to equity, so technically the formula is debt divided by equity. Okay, so let's look at the detail of the ratio. So the debt ratio measures the proportion of the firm's total debt to its total assets, okay, and indicates the amount of debt in the financial structure. So the higher the percentage associated with the higher risk. And untuk debt ratio, the answer would be in percentage. So when you see the ratio is in percentage, obviously I tak tulis kat sini, but in order to get it in percentage, you kena darab 100 lah. The ratio, you have to multiply it with 100 ringgit to get it in percentage. So the higher the ratio reflects the higher amount of debt to finance their assets. Okay, so if we go back to the example just now, okay, tekan delete dah ni. Debt ratio, pun debt to asset ratio. I tulis balik, the formula is total debt divided by total assets. Okay, so the total debt, you have to add all the current liabilities. Kalau tadi current liabilities kita calculate 44,000 kalau tak. Ini the 4 ni tadi adalah 44,000, but in order to get the total debt, you have to add the 44,000 with the 120,000, which is the long-term debt. Okay, current plus long-term. Okay, so 44 plus 120 is 164,000. Okay, 16 plus 4 plus 10 plus 14 plus 120,000. Okay, give you 164,000. And total assets you tak payah kira, total asset kat sini je, 367,000. So you'll just letak 367,000. Okay, and don't forget to multiply with 100 because you want to get it in percentage. So 164 divided by 367 times 100. So it gives us around 44.69%. Okay, 44.69%. Okay, so in comparison, the industry average debt ratio is 55%. Okay, 55%. So obviously the debt ratio of ABM motorist is lower. Okay, lower kan? And then as compared to 55%. So you can say that ABM motorist debt ratio is better sebab untuk ratio ni lagi rendah lagi bagus kan. So we can say the ABM motorist debt ratio is better than the industry average, which indicates that the company has less reliance on the debt. Okay. Dia tak bergantung kepada hutang sangat lah as compared to the industry average. Okay, so that's for debt ratio. And satu lagi tadi kita ada debt to equity kan. Debt to equity. So untuk debt to equity, kalau this is number 1, this is number 2. So untuk debt to equity, so formula dia is again total debt, still total debt TD, but you divide it with total equity. Okay, so total equity adalah dua yang kat bawah ni, the common stocks and also retained earnings. Okay, so we get already the total debt of 164,000. And for total equity, kita kena add lah 30,300 plus 172,700. So it's 203,000. Okay, don't forget to multiply with 100 because debt to equity pun the ratio is in percentage. So here the debt to equity is about 80.79%. Okay, so untuk debt to equity we cannot compare. So just to let you know, we have a lot of ratios tapi untuk soalan exam contoh yang macam ni, dia suruh kita calculate 8 je. We have the first 4 here and then this one another 4. And if you don't have things to compare, macam debt to equity dalam soalan tak bagi. So we cannot compare lah. We just know that the company has 80.79%. So we cannot compare. So sepatutnya kalau during the final exam you don't have to calculate pun debt to equity ni. Right, but for the sake of to explain to you, obviously I have to share with you, to show you how to calculate the ratio. Okay, so debt to equity for this company, ABM Motors, is 80.79, but we don't know is it good or bad because we don't have comparison. Okay, we don't have comparison. Cuma debt ratio tadi kita boleh compare lah. This one is better sebab dia lagi rendah from the industry average. Okay, and the third one is times interest earned. So this is the third ratio under this is all leverage. Leverage ratio. So this is the second category, leverage. And we have another 3 juga. So the times interest earned, the formula is earning before interest and taxes. Okay, earning before interest and taxes. And we're going to divide it with, sebab ni interest kan, so we have to divide it with interest. Okay, cuma kadang-kadang interest ni dia guna perkataan financing cost. Okay, kalau dia tak ambil guna conventional, dia guna Islamic contohnya, dia tak ada interest. Okay, so alternatively, if you want to find interest in the annual report, they might use the terms financing cost ataupun finance cost. Okay, tapi untuk soalan ni, dia bagilah interest. Okay, earning before interest and taxes, dia pun ada nama lain dia. Nama lain dia adalah operating profit. Okay, operating profit. Okay, operating profit. If you recall during our first seminar, kita boleh nampak lah the sequence from sales revenue, and then tolak cost of goods sold, then you get gross profit, and then you tolak operating expenses, then you get operating profit. Lepas tu baru you tolak interest and so on. Okay, cuma untuk soalan ni, dia tak letak tau. The earning before interest and taxes ataupun operating profit is not labeled here. After gross profit, dia tolak operating expenses, tapi dia tak ada earning before interest and taxes. It's missing kat dalam ni. So how to find it? You have to manually calculate lah. Maknanya gross profit tolak operating expenses, then you get the operating profit. Okay, kalau you ambil operating expenses ni as your answer kat sini, salah lah. Okay, so for operating profit, for this question, it's supposed to be the gross profit 499,300 tu, tolak dengan operating expenses of 90,000. Okay, so this information is not listed in the question. You kena cari sendiri for 499,300. Okay, kat mana dapat? I recap. In order to get the earning before interest and taxes, it's 499,300 minus with 90,000. Alternatively, you can do it in reverse. Okay, sebab dia earning before interest and taxes kan. So you can take earning before tax, sebab earning before tax is EBT. Okay, EBT. So you nak cari earning before interest and tax. So interest ni yang missing, the I ni missing kan. EBT ada, earning before tax dia bagi. EBT is 399,700. But we don't have interest information. Okay. So what you need to do, you reverse lah. You ambil 399,700, you add back the interest, which is 9,006. Okay. You're going to get the same answer. 409,300. So you can use either one. Okay. Tak kisah mana-mana, it's supposed to give you the same answer. Right. And then we have interest. Interest dia 9,006. Okay, divide by 9,006. So the ratio is about 42.64%. Not percent times. Nama pun dia times interest earn kan. So the answer is in times. So you don't multiply with 100. So 42.64%. 42.64 times. Okay, ataupun almost 43 times. So what can we compare? So dalam soalan dia bagi times interest earn is 35 times. Okay, 35 times. So untuk company ni, ABM Trace, dia punya capability dia is about 43 times. Almost 43 times. So what does it mean? Dari hutang dia yang dia kena serve 9,006 tu, the interest, okay, based on the operating profit dia, dia ada 43 kali ganda amount dia. So the higher the better. So maknanya tak ada masalah untuk company ni untuk serve dia punya interest. Okay, serve dia punya debt, no issues. Alright, even higher than the industry average. So again, dalam case ni, ABM Trace has a better times interest earn as compared to the industry average. Okay, so explanation, you can refer to the notes lah kat bawah ni ada. Okay, so this is the debt ratio. This is the debt to equity ratio. Okay, and this is the times interest earn. So the higher the ratio indicates the company can meet the loan charges, which is the interest, and has a lower risk of default. Sebab dia tak ada masalah untuk serve dia punya loan charges lah, ataupun dalam case ni interest ataupun the financing cost. Okay, the higher the ratio is desirable. Okay, untuk times interest earn. Tapi untuk debt to equity dengan debt ratio tadi lagi rendah lagi bagus. The lower the better. Okay, higher ratio, macam contoh kat sini, higher ratio is less desirable. Less desirable maknanya kita tak nak dia higher ratio lah, kita nak dia lower ratio. Okay, so that's our second category, the leverage ratio. Okay, leverage ratio. So we have 3 more to go. Okay, ada 3 lagi. So before we move on dengan kategori yang ketiga, let's take a short break. Okay, kita rest lah kejap before we move on with the third category of ratio. Okay, we take 5 lah. Okay. Alright. Okay tu. Alright.
Okay.
So
Okay, sir.
alright, thank you. So kita tengok 3 more categories. We have activity ratios. Yang seterusnya yang ketiga, activity ratio. Cuma untuk activity ratios ni, the number is not 3 anymore. If I'm not mistaken, we have about 5 ratios. Right, so this indicates how efficient the manager, which is the internal staff, right, uses the available resources in order to generate sales and its contribution towards the achievement of the firm's goal in order to maximize the shareholders' wealth. Okay, so kita tengok ratio dia, nak tengok how effective and how efficient the company, okay, the company punya performance, right, in how they manage dia punya resources. So resources ni selalunya melibatkan dia punya assets lah, assets, and how they use the assets ni untuk generate the sales. Okay, so kita ada 5 tadi, as I said, types of ratios. Ada activity, which is number 1 is called average collection period. Okay, average collection period, and then we have account receivable turnover, inventory turnover, fixed asset turnover, and also total asset turnover. So ada 5 jenis ratios. Okay, some of the ratios would be in days. So untuk contohnya yang pertama ni, for the ACP, average collection period, jawapan dia tadi nanti akan dalam hari, in days. Okay, and the rest tu dalam ratio lah, dalam times. Okay, dalam times. So let's look at the first one, ACP, average collection period. Okay, determines the average length of time taken by the firm to collect its debt from the credit sales. So it used to appraise the firm's account receivable. So item yang kita akan guna pakai adalah account receivable. Remember, account receivable ni ada dalam current assets. And the larger the account receivable, selalunya bergantung kepada company punya credit policy. How lenient the company, okay, with regards to giving out credit to the client, to the customers. So kalau company ni senang nak bagi credit kepada klien, obviously account receivable dia akan besar lah. Okay, and satu lagi punca kenapa account receivable can be big in terms of value, jualan sales dia yang besar jugalah. So kalau sales dia besar and dia punya policy yang membenarkan klien to pay on credit basis, so account receivable dia akan besar. Okay, remember balik, account receivable ni adalah amount daripada jumlah sales yang berlaku tetapi belum diterima dalam bentuk cash. So that's why dia datang daripada dalam bentuk credit sales. Okay, so the larger the credit sales, so selalunya lagi besar account receivable dia lah. Right, so untuk formula ACP ni, average collection period, kat sini dia letak the formula is account receivable and we divide with daily sales. Okay, the perkataan daily sales. If you recall dalam kita punya statements, we don't have daily sales, kita hanya ada sales amount. This sales amount. Alright, so alternatively daripada formula ni, kita boleh revise formula ni sebenarnya menggunakan account receivable divide by sales. Okay, account receivable ni ambil daripada current assets. Untuk sales ni, yang ni, sales ni kita boleh ambil daripada income statement lah. Income statement dia. Okay, you multiply with 360. Kalau apa percentage you darab 100 kan untuk dapat percentage, tapi untuk dapat hari you ambil ni you darab dengan 360. Okay, so in finance kita guna 360 lah in a year. Okay, 360 hari setahun dengan assuming that sebulan kita ada 30 hari. Assumption dia. So on average 30 days per month. So we use 360. Okay, so whatever answer kita akan dapat in days, dalam hari. Okay, so bear with me. We go back to the question earlier. Okay, ni tadi leverage So now activity. ratios. So first we have average collection period, ACP in short. So formula dia tadi, account receivable divide by sales times 360. Okay, so account receivable ambil dekat sini from current assets, which is 30,000. Your sales from here, 800,000, 800. Then darab terus dengan 360. Then you're gonna get your answers straight away. 30,000 divided by 800,000, 800 times 360. So you get about 13.49 ataupun sebab dia jawapan dia dalam hari you boleh letak dia dalam 13 days lah ataupun 30.5 days lah. Okay, 13 and a half days. So what does it mean here? On average, this company requires 13 and a half days, almost 14 days lah, almost 2 minggu in order for the company to do their collection. Okay, secara purata sepanjang tahun, okay, this company will give out credit to the customer, and on average, okay, the company will do their collections every 14 days, almost 13 and a half days. Okay, so obviously bila kita pasal collection, lagi cepat lagi bagus lah. The faster the collection, the better for the company, right? And in comparison, the industry average is 20 days. Okay, 20 hari. Secara purata, industri yang sama dengan ABM Motoris ni, company-company lain, the competitor, secara purata, will requires 20 days. Okay, but for this company, they just requires 13 and a half days. Okay, kalau letak 14 hari pun acceptable lah answer tu So we can say that the ACP ataupun the average collection period for ABM Motoris is better as compared to the industry because it requires lower number of days to do their collection. Okay, so that's how you answer. Right, so that's average collection period. Okay. So kalau ratio dia lagi tinggi, mungkin dia akan menunjukkan dia ada masalah lah, has problem in collecting that. So dalam case ni the ratio is higher, lower kan. So it shows that the company has better collection policy as compared to the industry average. Okay. Next one is account receivable turnover. Okay, kalau perasan, the ratio ni terbalik daripada yang tadi. Kalau tadi account receivable dengan sales kan, but we multiply with 360, but this one is the opposite, the reverse. Okay, sales kat atas as numerator, the denominator is account receivable. So information yang sama macam yang kita dah ada tadi lah. Okay, so take the sales, berapa tadi 800 tadi, divide by the account receivable. Okay, and then you divide, then you get the answer in times. Okay, for the turnover ratios, okay, kita ada 4 ratio yang turnover ni. Okay, we have 4 ratios with the terms turnover. Kan? So all the turnover ratios, the higher the better. Kalau ECP tadi, the lower the better. But for the turnovers, all the ratios should be higher lah. Higher ratio reflects effectiveness, reflect efficiency in collecting dia punya receivable ke, to generate returns from dia punya assets ke, right? So untuk yang nombor 2 ni is based on sales and account receivable. The third one is inventory turnover. Okay, still ada the terms turnover kat sini. So it measures how effective the firm uses inventory to generate sales. Again, higher inventory turnover is preferred because it represents more efficient inventory management, lower cost and so on. So, untuk inventory turnover, okay, this is a special case. I letak asterisk kat sini. Kenapa special? Sebab instead of using sales, the priority given is to use cost of goods sold. Okay, the cost of goods sold is preferred when we calculate inventory turnover. Okay, however, if the cost of goods sold is not available, kat sini, if the value of cost of goods sold is not available, then we can use the sales figure. Okay, kita boleh guna sales figure dengan syarat kalau tak ada cost of goods sold in the question. If. Right, but if we have the information, please use cost of goods sold. Ataupun sometimes they use the terms cost of sales. Okay. So let's look again to the question. I tak tunjuk tadi lah account receivable turnover. Account receivable turnover. Okay, sebab kalau ini calculate is just sales divided by account receivable kan. So you have 800 divided by 30,000. Okay, nanti you kira berapa. And we cannot compare sebab tak ada kat sini. The third one is inventory turnover. Okay, inventory turnover ada comparison kat sini. For the question, we have the answer. Bukan answer lah, we have a point of reference. Okay, so inventory turnover, the formula just now is cost of goods sold divided by inventory. Cost of goods sold is here. Cost of goods sold 301,500. And the inventory is from the balance sheet, 50,000. So 301,500 divided by 50,000. So you get about 6.03 times. Okay, so for inventory turnover, unfortunately for this company, this ratio, 6.03, is lower than inventory turnover of the industry average. Okay, walaupun ACP dia faster than the industry average, however, the inventory turnover is lesser. Okay, sebab apa? The turnover ratio, as I mentioned, the higher the better. So dalam case ni, the industry average is better lah, 8 times. Okay, tapi bila kita nak comment, okay, we always comment based on the company yang you tengah buat analysis. So in this case, our company of analysis is ABM. Okay, so we always comment on this ABM motorist punya point of view. Okay, so maknanya walaupun ABM motorist is less performing as compared to the industry average, you akan comment ABM motorist punya performance lah. Okay, kalau tadi dia cakap better kan. So now you can say ABM motorist has a worse inventory turnover ratio as compared to the industry average. Okay, and you can use dia punya kat bawah ni, which indicates that the company has a less effective usage of inventory in order to generate sales. You boleh letak macam tu lah, dia punya explanation. Okay, so dia ada less effectiveness of using inventory in order to generate the sales as compared to the industry average. Okay, so that's the third ratio. Kita ada ACP, account average collection period, lepas tu ada account receivable turnover, and then we have inventory turnover. So we left with two more turnovers. Okay, kita ada fixed asset turnover and total asset turnover. Alright, so I lupa nak beritahu tadi ataupun highlight to you. Based on the name of the ratio, macam ni lah account receivable, inventory turnover, fixed asset turnover dengan total asset turnover, sama macam formula yang earlier tadi. The name of the ratio each give us a hint what would be the items under the dalam ratio tu lah. So contohnya macam ni kan, kita ada account receivable number one, and then we have turnover. So, dalam case ni turnover can represent term sales. Okay, can represent the terms sales. So bila kita tengok account receivable turnover, we know akan ada account receivable number one, and kita ada sales, number 2. And the positioning of the ratios pun terbalik. Instead of account receivable bahagi turnover, kita flip lah, we reverse the position. So we somehow turn it over upside down. So maknanya yang kat depan ni ada dekat bawah as a denominator, the turnover ataupun sales ni ada dekat numerator dekat atas. Okay, unlike, okay, just to go back to this one, contohnya debt to equity kan, kalau tadi debt to equity, kita ambil debt bahagi equity in that particular order kan. But for these turnovers, kita kena reverse kan dia. Okay, cuma this sales turnover tak guna pakai untuk inventory because I letak asterisk kat sini because priority is given to cost of goods sold. Kalau tak ada baru guna sales. Okay, only special for inventory turnover we use cost of goods sold. But for the next two, it goes back to the same formula lah. Maknanya kat sini kita ada fixed asset and then we have sales. Okay, and then we flip to get dia punya position kan. So sales bahagi fixed asset. So kalau yang the fifth one, dia ada total asset turnover. Okay, total asset and turnover. So sama jugalah, formula dia adalah sales bahagi dengan total assets. Okay, kalau tadi sales bahagi fixed asset, now is sales divided by total assets. And both to see how good the company using their either total assets ataupun fixed assets to generate the sales. Okay, so untuk soalan tadi, they don't have that industry average punya results, okay, to compare, tapi again we still can calculate lah. Okay, number 4, katakanlah fixed asset turnover, P2. So formula dia adalah sales divided by fixed asset. So sales dia tadi 800 and the fixed asset adalah these two, 250,000. Okay, 800 divided by 250,000. So it's about 3.20 times. Okay, like I said, we don't have any information to compare, so we don't know lah whether it's good or not lah. So fixed asset turnover. Okay, and the last one is total asset turnover, TATO. Alright, so it will be sales divided by total asset. Okay, sama juga 800, but the total asset is 367,000. So it's about 2.18 times. Okay, so again, I recap, fixed asset dengan total asset turnover ni, the higher the better kalau kita kena buat comparison, and the higher the ratio indicates that dia ada higher effectiveness to generate sales using either fixed asset. Kalau kita measure fixed asset turnover, so maknanya how effective the company using their fixed assets to generate sales. Kalau kita gunakan total asset turnover, kita measure lah, kita explain how effective the company using the total assets to generate sales. Okay, kalau ratio dia lagi tinggi lah, the higher the ratio, the higher the effectiveness. Okay, so this is the 5 activity ratios. So far dah ada berapa dah? 11. Okay, recap. The first one is liquidity, 3 ratios. And then we have leverage, 3 ratios. And then we have activity ratios, ada 5 ratios. So as of now, we have 11 ratios. Okay, to put it in perspective, okay, imagine masa exam ni ada December 2018 kan ada final exam ni. Alright, so you have to memorize all the ratios. Okay, you have to memorize all single ratios. Kita tak tahu masa final ni ditanya soalan ratio yang mana. Okay, quick, current, quick. Sebab untuk liquidity for example, kita ada current, quick and net working capital. Okay, ada 3 tapi final dia ditanya 2 je. Same goes dengan leverage. Leverage kita ada debt ratio, debt to equity ratio dengan times interest earn. 3 ratios kan. And the final ni dia tanya dua juga, debt ratio and times interest earned. So debt to equity dia tak tanya. So for activity ratios, we have 5. Ada 5 kat sini. Again, dia tanya 2 out of 5. So dia ada ACP, average collection period, and inventory turnover. Alright. So imagine lah, during that time, you have to memorize the ratios, but you don't know which ratios will be out during the final. Okay, and ratios punya formula is not given during the final exam. Okay, so you can call yourself lucky lah kot, sebab you don't have to memorize. Sebab ni hanya akan appear for your assignment. Okay, so assignment you boleh refer je. When you do your own, analysis, you can compare, you can refer to your notes, your references, whatever, in order to assist you untuk buat your analysis later lah, your group projects. Okay, moving on. Dah nak habis ni. We have the fourth one, profitability ratios. Okay, measures the relative success of the firm that is combined the effect of liquidity, activity, and leverage with the operating results. Okay, so untuk profitability, the higher ratio is preferred as it tends to satisfy the mean of the expectation of all the parties involved. And ada 6 ratio pula kat sini. Okay, walaupun 6 ratio ni, operating ratio ni lagi rendah lagi bagus. Okay, out of these all ratios, operating ratio je lagi rendah lagi bagus. Okay, the rest of the ratios, the higher the better. Mana yang ada perkataan margin, all ratios lagi tinggi, and return on equity and ROE and ROA pun, the higher the better. Okay, so untuk profitability ratios ni, the name of the ratios also can signifies the formula. Okay, kalau tadi kita ada turnover that represents sales, cuma turnover tu kita flipkan position dia, we turn it over, macam total asset turnover, so maknanya instead of total asset bahagi sales, we turn it over, sales bagi total assets. Tapi untuk ni, satu lagi, the terms that they use, margin ni pun kita boleh represent the term sales. Okay, perkataan margin ni. Okay, perkataan margin ni. So, looking at the names of the ratio yang ada margin ni, technically we know the formula akan ada gross profit, number 1, and then dia ada sales, the second part. So, yang ni ada operating profit. Kalau you ingat tadi, operating profit ni adalah earning before interest and tax. Okay, bahagi dengan sales. Ataupun we have sales. And then we have net profit dengan sales. Yang ni. Okay, so that's margin lah. Okay, why I explain in this manner? Sebab ingat tadi saya cakap during the final exam dulu, you have to memorize. So by giving them this, narrative, so it be easier nak memorize actually the formula. But for your case, you tak perlu memorize. Cuma nak give you reference lah, senang macam mana nak tengok the name of the ratio itself. And number 5 and 6 is based on return dengan equity. Okay, return ni is the net profit lah. Net profit. So return ni net profit on equity. So maknanya net profit bahagi equity. Kalau return on asset meaning net profit bahagi assets. That's it. Okay, so let's look one by one. So gross profit margin is gross profit divided by sales. Margin tadi sales macam saya cakap. So we just take straight away je gross profit margin. You bahagi je. Then you get the formula. And this answer in percentage, so you darab dengan 100. So higher ratio is desirable. Okay, higher ratio is desirable. Operating profit pun sama. Operating profit is earning before interest and tax. Divided by sales, multiply with 100. Okay. The third one, this is the only ratio yang lagi rendah lagi bagus. Okay, lower ratio is better efficiency because instead of using profits, operating ratio using expenses. Okay, bila kita cerita pasal cost, pasal expenses, obviously lagi rendah lagi bagus. Okay, the lower the better. So lower ratio is desirable as it translates better efficiency in managing dia punya expenses, managing the cost. And when we can manage the cost efficiently, kita boleh dapat higher profits lah. That's why higher profits can be expected if we can manage the expenses. Right, so that's why untuk expenses ni, the lower the better. The only ratio yang lagi rendah lagi bagus. The fourth one, net profit ratio, okay, ataupun net profit margin. Okay, tadi we use the terms margin, margin which is sales. So net profit sometimes is also known as earning after tax, EAT. Okay, just to put it in perspective again, net profit NP sama dengan net income sama dengan earning after tax. Okay, so terminology diguna pakai can be interchangeably between one to another. So ada buku, ada reference guna net profit, ada guna net income, ada guna earnings after tax. So all refers to the same thing. Okay, untung bersih selepas cukai. Okay, that's why earnings after tax. So net profit ni selepas tolak all the expenses including tax is net profit. Sama juga dengan net income. Okay, divide by sales. And the final two is based on earning after tax, net income tadi, divide by total assets untuk ROA. And for ROE is divide by total equity. And everything kena darab dengan 100. Okay, so we have 6 ratios all together. Okay. So I clear this page. So we have profitability kat sini. Profitability ratios. So we have 6. Number 1 tadi adalah gross profit margin. Gross profit margin. Okay, so gross profit kat mana nak tengok? Kat sini gross profit. So formula dia letaklah gross profit divided by sales. So the gross profit for this EBM or tourist is 499,300. And the sales just now is 800. Okay, times 100 to get it in percentage. So 499,300 divided by 800 is about 62.35%. Okay, so we cannot compare because the question doesn't ask ataupun doesn't state the gross profit margin for comparison. But for this company, the gross profit margin is about 62.35%. So maknanya kat sini, dari total sales 800 ni, 62.35% will be converted into gross profit. So that's how it works lah. So maknanya kalau you tolak 100% dengan 62, you know lah, dia punya the difference tu adalah dia punya cost of goods sold. Number 2 tadi adalah operating profit margin. Operating profit margin. So this is the second ratio, operating profit margin. So it's earning before interest and taxes divided by sales. So EBIT tadi kita dah kira tapi dah delete kan. So you can retrieve it back 399,700 plus 9,006. So dia punya tadi 409,300. Earning before interest and taxes I recap balik macam nak dapat 409,300 is either use 499,300 minus 90,000 or you can use 399,700 plus 9,006. Okay, sebab dia punya answer tu sebenarnya in between of these two. So you boleh kira daripada atas ke bawah. Okay, top down ataupun bottom up whichever you want to use it. So sales 800 times 100%. So it's about 51.11%. Okay, operating profit margin pun kita tak boleh kira sebab tak ada reference. Kita tak boleh kira tak boleh compare. Next kita ada operating ratio tadi, whereby we measure this using operating expenses. Okay, OPEX operating expenses divided by sales. But for this ratio, the lower the better tadi kan. But again, we don't have point of reference to compare. Kita boleh calculate sajalah operating expenses dia is 90,000. 1000 divided by 800 times 100%. So it's about 11.24%. Okay, 11.24%. 11.24% for operating ratio. Number 4. Apa tadi ya? Net profit margin. Okay, we go back to margin. Net profit margin. So the formula is net profit divided by sales. So net profit is net income. Remember tadi ada letakkan the equivalent tu, net profit, net income, earning after tax is all referring to the same thing. So it's 239,820. And it is 800. Darab 100 lah. So it's about 29.95%. Almost 30% lah. Okay, 29.95%. So untuk net profit margin, we can compare because they give us the industry average of 21%. Okay, so dalam case ni, net profit margin of the company, ABM or Trees is much better lah as compared to the industry average. Sebab ratio dia lagi tinggi, almost 30%. Okay, you can say lah the net profit margin of ABM or Trees is better than the industry average, which indicates that the company can generate higher net profit from the sales figure of the company. Okay, the number 5 sekarang buat apa? Belum lagi kan? Number 5 is ROA, return on assets. So, formula dia adalah net profit bahagi dengan total assets. So the net profit again is 239,820 divided by total assets dia 367,000. Darab 100 lah times 100. 239,820 divided by 367,000. So it's about 65.35%. Okay, ROA pun kita boleh buat comparison because the industry average is 50%. And again, the company's ROA is better than ROA of the industry. Okay, because the ratio is higher kan. And finally, number 6, ROE. Return on equity, it's net profit divided by total equity. Okay, so it's supposed to be 239,820 divided by total equity dia tadi. Combination between retained earnings dengan common stocks. Kalau ikut awal tadi, you have the answer kan, tapi ada delete kan. So I have to calculate again lah. Plus 172,700. So 203,000. Okay, darab 100. So you're gonna get 239,820 divided by 203,000. So it's betul lah. 239. So kalau you darab 100, so the ratio is about 118.14%. Okay, so the ratio is higher. So maknanya kat sini dia punya net profit dia generated higher than the amount of equity of this company contributed. Okay, so it's really good lah. So kalau lebih daripada 100% ni, so it shows that the company generated high amount of returns as compared to the amount of equity yang company ni ada. Remember, equity ni adalah shareholders punya fund. So kalau lah generate profit dia lagi banyak daripada apa yang company tu keluarkan in terms of dia punya fund, so obviously it's good for the company. So that's the 6 ratios for the profitability. So untuk final exam ni, memang selalunya dia akan keluar based on the 4 categories I mentioned so far. Kita ada again liquidity, leverage, activity and profitability. So during final exam memang 4 ni je. So that's why from the 4 ratios, each types of ratios, each category dia keluar dua ratio saja each one. So in total we have 8. Okay, so in order to get the full marks, you have to calculate correctly. Macam yang I tunjuk ni, semua calculation for 12 marks, and then you have to comment ataupun evaluate each and every ratios yang ada ni, sebab setiap dua ratio ni adalah represented by the liquidity, activity, profitability and leverage. Okay, maknanya 4 kategori tadi. Right, so ada 8 ratio, so ada 8 markah. So technically, so for each ratio yang you comment, will give you 1 mark. Ni masa final exam masa itulah. Okay, so every ratio calculated correctly will give you 1.5 marks. Sebab dia ada 8 ratio, so 12 marks. So satu ratio 1.5 markah. And every ratio you comment correctly, we get additional 1 mark. So setiap satu ratio tu, based on calculation and comments, will give you 2.5 marks during that time. Okay, but we left with one more. Dia ada satu lagi ratio sebenarnya. Satu kategori lagi, ratio yang terakhir, which is known as market ratios. Okay, tengok time, takut lebih masa ni. Okay, so untuk final exam, memang market ratio ni tak pernah tanya. Right, why? Because the information required to calculate the market ratio is beyond the income statement and balance sheets. We need to have more information. Right, and this information will doesn't appear dalam balance sheet atau income statement yang tadi. We need to dig further lah. Dalam annual report ada tulis, ataupun dalam any other open sources we can find the information. Tapi dalam balance sheet income statement we don't have that information. Okay, so that's why during final exam they don't ask these market ratios. However, okay, untuk your assignment, okay, for your assignment, this market ratio akan ada. Okay, sebab ni assignment, so you boleh cari je information tu. Okay, so this is important, okay, untuk market ratios for public traded firms. So this is a keyword. Dia kena public listed company sahaja. Because information tu only applicable for public listed companies. Alright, and the result of the firm's operation reflected on the market ratios lah, especially the market price. So we have additional 6. So tadi dah ada berapa kalau kita boleh recap leverage 3, liquidity 3, leverage 3 dan 6. Then we have activity 5, so 11. So profitability another 6, now 17. So we have another 6 here. So ada 23 ratios. Okay, 23 ratios altogether. Dari 5 kategori ada 23 in total. Okay, total 23 ratios. Okay, so final exam tadi 8. Okay, so for your group assignment, okay, expect at least 10 lah. Okay, daripada 23 ni mungkin 10 ratio lah I will ask you to do. So kita ada 5 kategori kan. So 5 kategori mungkin 2 categories each. Okay, but which one I will let you know later. Okay, so the final category is market ratios. So we have 6 different ratios kat sini. Kita ada earning per share, dividend per share, dividend payout ratio, DPR, dividend yield, BVPS, book value per share, and also PE ratio, price earning ratio. And some of the information kita boleh dapat dalam balance sheet income statement. Okay, macam bila kita tengok earning ni, this is basically net income, net profit juga. Tapi yang the rest tu kita kena cari additional information. So kita go one by one. So I cannot use the example just now. Example yang exam tu is not applicable for this one lah sebab kita tak ada information tu. But I can share you how to calculate the ratio sahaja. So earning per share is earning after tax. So ni tadi EAT equals net income equals net profit. So ni ada dalam income statement. But we don't have this one, number of common shares. Okay, sometimes number of common shares ni simply kita panggil dia number of shares outstanding. Ataupun in short, kita panggil dia NOSO. Okay, number of shares outstanding. So this one is represented by number of shares yang berada di market pada masa ni. So dia selalunya dalam units. Berapa unit shares yang float in the share market. Okay, berapa juta unit yang dijual di market dan the shareholders own it lah basically. Okay, so earning per share EPS is based on net profit bahagi dengan number of shares yang ada kat market lah. So the higher the ratio, the better. Okay, the higher the ratio, the better to the company. So kalau you ingat ni dalam topic 1, measurement of shareholders wealth is using the earning per share. So lagi tinggi net profit dia, lagi besar value for each shareholders will get lah, walaupun this is not the actual amount yang dia akan terima dalam bentuk dividen, tapi ni earning dia lah, earning per share. Tapi kalau nak tengok berapa banyak dividen yang boleh dia earn is based on dividend per share. Okay, formula dia is dividend, cash dividend to the common stockholders bahagi dengan shares outstanding. So this is technically the same, NOSO juga. Okay, NOSO yang tadi, this one is the same thing. Okay, shares outstanding dengan common shares ni is actually the same thing. Cuma kalau tadi earnings after tax, this one is cash dividend. Okay, tengok berapa banyak dividen dibayar kepada shareholders. Okay, kalau both is based on RM, ringgit Malaysia. The higher the ratio, the better. The third one is dividend payout ratio. Dividend payout ratio is based on dividend per share, which is this one. Formula number 2. Divide by earning per share, which is ratio number 1. Okay, DPR, dividend payout ratio is based on DPS, dividend per share bahagi dengan earning per share. Or alternatively, for dividend payout ratio ni, you boleh gunakan dividend bahagi dengan net income. Okay, sebab kalau you buang per share ni, so is dividend bagi earning kan? Dividend bagi earning is dividend bagi dengan net income. So if you don't have DPS and EPS, so this one you guna je lah dividend berapa thousands or millions of dividend payment, which is this one, cash dividend ni, yang the numerator punya information ni, bahagi dengan earning after tax, the numerator untuk formula yang pertama. Alright, without dividing the number of, sebab dia the numerator yang sama, the denominator yang sama, NOSO dua-dua, so we knock both off. So alternatively kita boleh guna formula ni sahaja, dividend divided by net income. Okay, number 4, dividend yields. Okay, still dividend per share. So, tapi price ni kita kena guna price per share. Kita tak boleh knock off each other sebab price in the market memang price per share. Dia tak bagi price in total. Okay, so the denominator price per share ni is the price yang listed in the share market. Okay, so information ni you kena tengok dalam Bursa Malaysia. So kalau you have to do your assignment later on, katakanlah you pilih satu company, Maxis contohnya kan. So Maxis, go to Bursa Malaysia, tengok Maxis punya price berapa ringgit in the market at that point of time. Okay, tahun 2020 contohnya. So tengok historical price of Maxis in 2020, let's say 31st December of 2020. Harga dia RM4.50 contohnya. So that's the price per share lah. You tak payah kira. You dapat harga dia RM4.50. Okay, so dividend per share is based on this formula. Okay, mesti per share basis sebab kita punya denominator dia adalah price per share. So tak boleh guna dividend yang ni. Okay, dividend ni dalam ringgit in thousands or millions. Dividend per share selalunya dalam bentuk ringgit basis. RM2.50, RM4.20, whatever. Okay, so that's dividend yield. So dividend yield answer is in percentage. So you darab 100 kat sini. Okay, number 5, book value per share is common equity. So ni ada dalam dalam balance sheet tadi. And again, divide by no-so. Okay, the answer is in ringgit. Okay, in ringgit. And lastly, PE ratio. Okay, PE ratio. Again, we use market price per share. Okay, sama macam dividend yield tadi. Ada price per share ni. Okay, and then divide by EPS, earning per share, our very first ratio just now. Okay, since dia punya numerator is per share basis, so kita tak boleh guna net profit lah kat sini. Kita kena cari earning per share dia in order for us to get the PE ratio. Okay, the PE ratio. So that's the 6 ratios under market ratio. Okay, so I recap balik untuk market ratio ni, some of the information, for example macam market price, macam number of shares outstanding. So all of these are additional information yang tak ada dalam balance sheet ataupun income statement in the final exam macam tadi lah. So untuk NOSO ni dalam annual report ada. You can find this in the annual reports. Okay, cuma untuk market price ni sometimes you have to rely on other sources. Okay, macam saya cakap tadi lah, it can be Bursa Malaysia punya historical prices, kat Yahoo ada, Yahoo Businesses. Dekat Google you boleh search jugalah like a price of a certain company at a certain point of time. Okay, so kat belakang notes ni we have some example. Okay, some example and also the answers. So you boleh try lah, macam contohnya current assets ni. Dalam case ni dia dah total kan 146 kat sini. And the current liabilities 79. Cuma dalam the final exam just now dia tak bagi subtotal, you have to total yourself. Okay, so you just ambil 146 divided by 79, you get 1.85 and you compare against the industry average. Okay, ni industry average punya column lah. Okay, so dalam case ni 1.85 is lower than daripada 2 times kan. So we can say that this company has a lower ataupun has worse performance as compared to the industry average sebab ratio dia lagi rendah from the current ratio point of view. Okay, then you compare lah against the rest. Dalam ni dia tolak inventory sepatutnya dia tolak juga dengan prepaid expenses kat sini. Carilah prepaid expenses ke dia tak ada prepaid expenses, ada. So you have to minus with 8 lagi kat belakang ni. So you akan ada slightly different ratio kat sini lah. Okay, so each and every ratios tu ada dia punya cara kira. Okay, cuma dia tak ada market ratio kat sini. Okay, they don't have market ratios. So to wrap up this topic, okay, so we have a few different analysis. Okay, 3 ways. Number 1 is called trend analysis. Okay, whereby trend analysis ni adalah menggunakan time series. So what does it mean? Bahasa mudah dia, one company, you analyze one company, but 3 ataupun multiple years. Okay, multiple times. So contohnya company A, okay, for 3 years. Contohnya 2020, 2021, 2022. 3 tahun. So this is trend analysis. Satu company A saja for 3 consecutive years. So kita boleh tengoklah performance dia menaik ke, menurun ke, remain the same ke. So the longer your time period, the better analysis you can do lah. So kalau you buat 2 tahun je tak nampak impact sangat, baru tahun ni, then tahun depan kita measure. So ada 2 point je, naik, sama ataupun turun. Tapi kalau you have 5 years, 10 years, you can plot the graph even further. Better lah sebenarnya. Okay. So for the trends, kita boleh tengoklah sama ada dia boleh improve, decline ataupun they can remain constant. So the second way is comparative, okay, cross-sectional. Okay, comparative ni maksudnya you kena ada at least company A versus company B, contohnya. Tapi just for 1 year. Okay, just 1 tahun je, 2022 contohnya, example 2022. Okay, company A versus company B at the same year. Okay, it can be company C. You boleh tambah lah berapa banyak company. Okay, minimum 2. Okay, tak ada maksimum lah. Or kalau dalam exam tadi is between company A, motorist tadi, ABM motorist versus industry. Okay, ada 2 point of reference. Okay, so dalam case ni, anything more than 1, just for 1 year. Just like what we did dalam final exam just now. Final exam tu example of comparative lah. Okay. Must be within the same industry, must be with the same industry. Dalam case ni either the industry average ataupun the competitor dalam industri yang sama from the same time frame. Dalam case ni tahun yang sama. Okay, so this is the second types of analysis. The third one is combined ataupun sometimes kita panggil dia hybrid lah. Hybrid analysis. So they combine the time series and they combine dengan comparative. So maknanya multiple company, ada company A, company B, and then ada for 3 years contohnya. Okay, nampak kalau tadi satu company 3 tahun, yang kedua ni banyak company 1 tahun, but kalau hybrid, multiple companies, multiple years. Okay, and this is the most informative approach because they combine both trend dengan comparative, and it is better sebenarnya for your own analysis. And this is the ratio, this is the type of analysis that you're going to use for your assignment. So assignment you nanti akan gunakan combined analysis. Akan ada multiple companies, akan ada multiple years. Okay, so the detail of the assignment, I will post it dalam You Future somewhere next week lah. Walaupun I post next week, I know lah next week raya kan, so I don't expect you to start straight away. Okay, perhaps you can just tengok the instruction and then you can plan. Mungkin you dah boleh figure out dah who will be your group members. Okay, group members. So the instruction of the assignment, I will post it somewhere next week. Maybe esok pun I dah boleh upload dah. Okay, but as I said, you can plan already starting tomorrow, but I don't expect you to do it straight away lah. And I understand kita mod raya ni kan. So yeah, you just prepare je lah dulu. And we have some limitation, okay, untuk ratio ni. Okay, number 1, limited comparability. Sebab kita kena cari industry players yang sama. Some industry mungkin susah nak cari the competitors yang have the exact same nature business to you. So sebab kita tak boleh calculate ratios, compare company A from satu industri dengan company B from the other different industry, sebab the nature of business tak sama. And if we compare two companies from different industry, it is not fair to compare sebab the nature of business is not the same. So that's why some company mungkin susah nak compare dengan the competitor. Okay, contohnya kalau company tu terlalu diverse. Okay, contohnya kat Malaysia kita ada yang paling antara yang diversified company yang ada, contohnya Sandabi. Dia conglomerate kan, Sandabi. So dia ada macam-macam dalam ni. Dia ada plantation, dia ada construction, dia ada motor vehicles pun dia ada, Sandabi Motors kan. So kalau you ambil the parent company, so you kena cari satu company yang sama macam Sandabi, susah. Okay, yang ada similar pun mungkin tak semua composition dia sama. Alright, so then you have problems lah, limited comparability. So kalau nak cari mungkin you kena very narrow down kepada dia punya subsidiary je. Okay, kalau property, Sandabi property, then you compare dengan company property yang lain. You tak boleh ambil Sandabi, the whole company, the whole parent company tu. Okay, different accounting treatment ni, especially kalau you compare from one country to another country. Okay, walaupun dia industri yang sama, tapi kalau disebabkan different geographical location, and different geographical location mempunyai accounting standard yang tak sama, then can be problem jugalah due to the treatment of accounting system. Okay, I tak nak go into detail lah accounting system. Ratios are quantitative analysis, therefore they ignore all the qualitative aspect. So dari segi skill, dari segi anything yang qualitative yang kita tak boleh nampak dalam financial statements, kita tend to ignore lah. Okay. Number 4, ratios can give false result kalau kita dapat info yang salah. So kalau kita collect accounting data yang salah, ratio kita akan come up with result yang salah jugalah. It can be data tu memang provided salah, or data tu you collect salah. Masa you nak buat analysis tu, you pick up figure yang salah contohnya. Okay, ratios are calculated based on past data, therefore do not provide complete information. Our own analysis so far memang kita gunakan historical data and untuk analyze data yang lepas je lah. Untuk forecasting kita kena guna teknik yang lain lah, which is under the following topic number 4 nanti, which is ratios, proforma dengan forecasting. Okay, not financial ratios lah. Financial ratios memang limitation dia hanya untuk analyze past data sahaja. And ratios may be misleading if based on, like I said, false or window dress information, unreliable figure. Dia somehow related dengan number 4 ni. Cuma the reason number 6 ni bukan sebab salah, saja salah, tapi disebabkan manipulation. Okay, manipulation by company themselves. Dia saja manipulate by window dress the information. So company ni tahu dia ada banyak anak syarikat. So kalau semua hutang diletak dalam satu syarikat yang sama, nampak macam company ni very bad lah. So macam mana dia nak mengurangkan jumlah debt dia? Dia transfer dah hutang ni kepada anak-anak syarikat dia yang lain. So company ni tadi nampak macam hutang dia sikit. Contohnya lah, one of the information yang I boleh share. So kalau dia transfer hutang syarikat ni kepada anak syarikat, so bila kita calculate contohnya the debt ratio tadi, nampak macam company ni dia punya debt ratio dia rendah. But sebenarnya kalau kita tengok hutang-hutang ni dia dah transfer kepada company-company yang lain, anak syarikat dia yang lain. So that's manipulation yang boleh berlaku lah. So it can be misleading kalau we have this information, window dress accounting information, yang dia dah transfer to other subsidiaries. Okay. So that are some limitations yang mungkin ada financial ratios have to face lah. So with that, actually the end of topic number 3. So I recap balik, topic number 3 ni important sebab apa? It will be your reference for your group assignment, and I will post your group assignment somewhere next week lah. Hopefully by tomorrow lah, tomorrow Tuesday before Raya. And don't mind me lah, basically I just post it tomorrow ataupun lusa, tapi I don't expect you to submit it just yet lah. So expect benda ni akan perlu disubmit mungkin seminar ke-5 or seminar ke-6 nanti. Okay, I just give you early information so that you can prepare. You boleh pilih dah, boleh try to seek your group members. Okay, all the instruction akan I post dalam You Future tomorrow. Okay, ada soalan? Okay, don't forget to sign in your attendance dalam You Future. Siapa yang belum, you have tinggal berapa minit je sebab kita punya sistem tu allow you 15 minutes je kalau tak salah before and after. 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after the class. So kalau tak ada soalan, thank you very much. I would like to take this opportunity to wish selamat Hari Raya juga. Happy holidays. So insyaAllah we'll see you guys bila seminar ketiga. Cuma seminar ketiga ni just heads up, kalau terpaksa I kena buat online, I will let you know. Cuma I realise jugalah you akan ada classes yang lain face to face. Nanti kena cari cara lah macam mana you all nak kena, you can go to the class cuma device masing-masing guna earphone ke contohnya, ataupun someone dekat dalam kelas tu play one of the computer contohnya to the classroom. So nanti kita figure out lah kalau I have to do the online session for the third meeting. Tapi for seminar onward, insyaAllah I will be there lah dalam kelas untuk face-to-face session. Alright, so thank you very much and I'll see you guys in the third seminar.
Thank you, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir. Selamat Hari
Thank you, sir.
Raya.
Selamat Raya.
Thank you, sir. Selamat Raya.